This is Kasey Ferguson. You are listening to The Kasey Ferguson Show. I have actor, musician, and now podcaster Ryan Lambert on the phone. Welcome to the show, Ryan, and welcome to the podcast jungle. How are you enjoying the podcasting experience so far?
Thank you for having me, of course. And, it's been an interesting venture so far. Adventure. We're just getting going, really. I mean, we're only on, episode, 6, 7, something like that. We kind of been breaking them up into two parts because we tend to, as they say, go long. So, because we get in conversations either with each other or if we have a special guest here and there. And, we're just blabbing. And we don't really like to edit too much. So, we just kind of let it roll. But, I'm getting I'm finding my way, finding my voice. I'm getting there. So, it's been fun, though, to say the least. I figured, I was sitting back and I listen to a lot of podcasts. Because I do a lot of walking around the city and, I'm on the train a lot. So if I'm not listening to, music, I'm listening to a podcast. And I was like, well, fuck, man. They're having all the fun.
Yeah, why not throw your hat in the ring?
Sure, man. I like to talk. So, who knows? People seem to enjoy it. And, and plus, there is a little bit of an angle for us and a little bit of an in from our past. We have definitely got a few things to talk about. This all started because Andre Gower and I were sort of hanging out. We'd have these long conversations over a beer or something, and we'd be talking, and one of us said, this is a podcast, what we're doing right now. We're just talking about the business and what's going on and what's the state of the business, what it used to be like, our experiences within that business as children, and what it is now to be an actor, producer, writer, director in Hollywood at this time, in this stage in the world. And we were like, well, I wonder if other people would want to know about this bullshit. So we said, fuck it. So we went out and we got a bunch of equipment and we set it up and we just did one and we had a blast. So then we started getting some guests on here and there, and we've got some really, really super special guests coming up. Crossing my fingers that it actually happens. So within the next couple months, if you tune in, you'll be hearing some familiar voices.
I like that you guys, give some advice to people trying to find their way out in LA and everything, and, stating a fact that they don't even have to move there to be successful. A lot of people here in Canada, we got to move to Toronto or you got to be in Vancouver, this or that. That's fucking bullshit. You can do anything from anywhere. It does help, when it comes to auditions or, this or that. I'm not in that industry. I'm, obviously a podcaster and was a musician for a long time. But you can live anywhere and tour abroad.
It depends on what you want. It depends on what you want to do, first of all. What's your project? And how far do you want to take it? Or what level do you want it to be on? If you're here in Hollywood, I'm looking out my window right now in Hollywood, the Hollywood, then, there's a certain degree and a certain level of what is legit compared to, little Jimmy Rottencrotch down in, Idaho, in the backwoods, whatever, somewhere, making YouTube videos and putting them up, and then people completely enjoying them. And it took him all of $3 to get a microphone or something from the local thrift shop. I don't know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he just made his own little beautiful project. Or I know a lot of guys that find funding through their friends, whether it's Kickstarter or something, and make a little short film. And they're not Hollywood types. They don't really know what they're doing. They just have a passion for what it is that they've been a fan of all these years, and we finally come to this day and age where it's possible that you can do that. And I realized it a long time ago, actually, because I'm a musician as well, and I've been making records since I was 14. So, the model used to be you wrote songs, you rehearsed, you played out, you played clubs, you toured, made demo tapes by yourself, with the 4-track or whatever. Then you shopped your demos to record labels, and then they signed you, and then they gave you an advance, and then you did pre-production, and then you got to make a record, and, if you were lucky, then they would release that record. And if you were even more lucky, they would put some money behind marketing. And then if you were super lucky, they would pay for you and go on tour. Or put you on a bill with someone that was going on tour. And hopefully your record did well, and then you made it, and you were famous. That's how it later, me and my friends were making some recordings, just some demos that we were doing, we were just demoing up some of our material. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to put up one of these songs on our site right now. So I'm going to put it up right now and just hear how it sounds. All I wanted to do was hear how it sounded through the speakers coming out of the computer, as opposed to like actually putting it in on a CD and putting it in the car or listening to it on a stereo system. Just wanted to hear how it sounded coming out of the speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it up, and about 5 minutes later, some guy in Germany was like, "This is my favorite song." I'm like, wow, this is a new era. Like, we don't need the guy who can sign you for the record. I just put up a song and some guy in Germany loved it. I didn't even mean for that to happen. So, I mean, and that's how it's going with film now, too. You make a film, you put it up yourself, boom. That's how it's happening with writing as well. If you want to write a novel, write fan fiction, whatever you want to do, boom, Amazon, put it up, blam, you're 50 Shades of Grey, you're Wool, you know what I mean? You're a writer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a whole different world now, and it's exciting. It's a little hard to fathom the idea that anyone with a camera can make movies. I don't know if it's as sacred as it used to be, but if you're good and people enjoy it, fuck it. More power to you.
Well, why not? Just like the podcast thing, right? Just get it out there.
You got a microphone and the program, you have a podcast, and everyone's got one. So
Yeah, there's definitely a lot out there now.
a lot out there, a lot of content, and it's a beautiful thing, you know. Everyone has a chance to have a voice. Some are better than others. It's just like looking at Facebook all day and going like, this person has absolutely no idea. They have no idea what they're talking about. Facts are facts, and this is not. So whatever. Anyway.
Can I get a fucking amen?
Well, I was listening to the show the other night, and I got a charge out of Andre was telling the story in which he was cock-blocked by Ralph Macchio.
Yeah, we went to I don't even know where we were, Chicago, I think. We were at a convention, and if he told the story, if he told the whole story on the podcast, I don't remember or not. But yeah, he wanted to talk to. We saw Rosario Dawson. And we were like, oh, let's go over and say hi to Rosario Dawson. And Andre was, excited to talk to her, or whatever. And then we got up to do that, and boom, Ralph Macchio just literally stood in front of us and started talking to her. So we said Andre got Ralph Cockblotchy out.
I thought that was fucking great, man. I got to charge it.
And the funny thing was, he just told me that he was in, I don't know where he was, some other convention or something by himself, and he ran into Ralph, and I was talking to him for a long time, and I'm like, oh great, he's telling me the story, and I'm like, and then, I'm waiting for him to tell me the story of him telling him about Cockblotchio. And I'm like, wait, you didn't tell him the story? And he's like, nah. I'm like, oh, missed opportunity, man. Missed opportunity. So now I told him, I said, now it is your mission to get Ralph on our podcast. And I want him to actually say those words on our podcast, and I will be a happy man.
Just cock-block McLovin. Okay, he's our friend. We don't do that. We should be guiding his cock, not blocking it.
I also heard on the show that Michael J. Fox bought you your first beer.
MJF, yeah. I was at Kirk Cameron's birthday party, and I was standing by the bar, and I was too young to drink, but I just happened to be standing in the general vicinity, probably eyeballing, the drinks. I wish I could. I'm probably gonna steal one of these. And he came up and he was kind of just standing next to me, and he said, "Hey kid, how you doing?" Hey, he's like, "Do you want a beer?" I'm like, "Yeah." So he just got one, and he gave it. He handed it to me, and then he had to go do some speech or something. They made him do like a speech up there, and when he came back, I had finished the whole beer, and it was,
Attaboy.
my first one. I don't know if it was my first one that I had drank, but it was my first one that someone had bought for me at a bar and given it to me. I stole a beer from my dad or something, but yeah. But I will always say that Michael J. Fox gave me my first beer, and he remembered. At one of the conventions, someone else asked him, like, "Hey, Ryan Lambert's over there." And he told me that you gave him his first beer, and he said, "Oh my God, I totally remember that. Tell him I said hi." It made my entire weekend. Oh my God, because I'm a huge fan of his. I admire him so much. I love his work. I've been following him since I always looked up to him, and I always thought he was a fantastic human being. And I'm part of his foundation as well, the Fox Foundation. So I just really admire the work that he's doing and everything that he's doing for Parkinson's. My father has Parkinson's, so
Now, Ryan, you mentioned, playing in the band and everything earlier, being a musician. You've been at it a long time. What's going on musically these days? Are you still doing the Kill Moi thing?
No, Kill Moi's over. I lived in San Francisco for 15 years. I had two bands, not simultaneously, but two different times. The first band, when I first moved up there, was called Elephone. We made a bunch of records. And then we kind of disbanded. And then I created a new band with some other friends of mine, and we called that Kill Moi. It kind of started as like a fun project for me because I kind of wanted to try something new. Not new musically, but new musically for myself. I'd always been like in these like sort of underground indie bands and, very maybe like ethereal sounding or like Radiohead-ish or something like that. But I really enjoy not just singer-songwriters in the sense of like a guy with an acoustic guitar, but like super songwriters like Billy Joel, Neil Diamond, Paul McCartney solo, like just those guys,
Mm-hmm.
who can completely command a stage, who write a good tune, aren't like mopey and droopy, just like love the stage. So I said, I'm putting together this band, and we're going to do Elvis Costello songs, that kind of stuff. And not covers, but like, we're going to use those elements of Elvis Costello, Paul McCartney, Billy Joel, Elton John, really huge songwriters. And we're going to have a 4-piece horn section, and we're going to have 2 guitars, bass, drums, maybe, adding some keys in there, or an organ or something, really like a big, huge band. And that's what we did. It turned out a little differently. It was still super indie rock because we just couldn't get away from our roots. And I don't write, as good as Elvis Costello.
Well, who does, right?
Forget about it. I've even tried to like copy him like notes for notes without covering, what's so funny about Peace, Love, and Understanding or something, and failed miserably. I'm like, well, I guess this just shows me that like I'm just me, and I have to just write from the heart, which I've always done in the past anyway. I can't just pretend like I'm someone else. So what happened was it turned out that it was me, doing my thing, and everyone else doing their thing with all of those elements in mind. So it was a very interesting project. We played for a while. Different members left and came back, and we got new people, and it was just kind of time. It was just kind of time to call it quits. I personally got the acting bug again. So I was doing some theater in San Francisco, and I was doing some independent short films in San Francisco. And then I just super got the bug again. I think this is where I'm meant to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I miss it. I would watch TV shows and go, God damn it. Like, that's me. I should be doing that. So packed everything up, and after 15 years, moved back to Los Angeles. And that's where I'm at right now. And as far as music is concerned, I'm pacing my apartment right now. And as I'm talking, I'm passing my 67 Fender Mustang competition series. It's a beautiful guitar. I got my acoustic Fender. I got a left-handed Dan Electro, which is a beautiful guitar from Sears. They're always present in my life, and I don't think there's a day goes by where I'm not sitting on my couch watching a film without noodling on my guitars. And so I'm still writing, but I'm not playing out. I don't have a band right now, and I'm just concentrating on these projects that I'm working on with Andre Gower, the podcast, a TV show that I wrote, TV show he wrote, and then we have a few other projects in the works as well. So that's kind of what I'm concentrating on right now. And, going out and auditioning for various roles here and there. So.
Well, some people don't understand. I get crap for this a lot in town, because I played for so long, and that was kind of what I got known for. And then I started doing the podcast thing,
You played in bands? You played in bands?
Yeah, and I also, I toured a lot as a solo artist and whatnot as well. Had some label interest, but it never panned out. And I wanted to do something else, It's I got my first band at 13, and, I was pretty much touring, but 17, 18, something like that. So that lasted until I was about 29, and then I started this show, and people are like, oh, we should still be playing, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I didn't say it was forever, but, sometimes you just want to do something different creatively, and podcasting is creative, acting's creative, sometimes you're just feeling like a different flavor of ice cream,
Yep, totally understand. I mean, sometimes it's just like, I still have passion for you, I still love, coffee, ice cream, but I really just want some cookies and cream right now, and I just need to concentrate on that. And, I've always been a guy that's kind of had various projects going here and there, but, I'm also a guy that just likes to focus on, like, a specific thing and just kind of go for that. So, everyone's always there. I've got tons of friends and family that are just like, we want more music. I'm like, yeah, how about a movie? Or how about this TV show I'm trying to write? Would you watch that if I did that? Would that appease your, whatever? Because, that's what I'm working on now. That's what I'm passionate about. You want me to make some wonky record that I don't give a shit about? And then you probably will listen to it once, and then I spend all that time doing it. You know what I mean?
Nailed it!
Being that you're a musician and everything, I'm sure you're listening to lots of stuff. I'm always looking to turn my listeners on to some new music, so who's caught your ear lately?
Oh, man. Loaded question. I don't know. Let's see. If you're talking about someone like in the newish vein, I love Courtney Barnett. She's my favorite right now. She's a fucking genius. Angel Olsen is also a genius. I like Lucius is great. They're kind of an exciting new act. Although they're getting kind of big, so people might have heard of them by now. But I've been listening to them for a while. Man, I still listen to like my favorite shit. I still listen to like Blur. I still love Blur and Elvis Costello, of course. Talking Heads. I listen to a lot of like old punk stuff from the 80s, like LA Punk, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, TSOL, all that good stuff. What else am I listening to? What's new? I mean, I still listen to Sonic Youth, for Christ's sakes. I'm old, man. Some of these newbie bands, I'm like, I can't get with. I'm listening to Wilco. Tastes are so all over the map, Like I said, I'm still listening to like Billy Joel and Bruce Springsteen albums, but then I'll like put on some punk shit, or I'll listen to like Patsy Cline or something. I really don't have those sort of boundaries when it comes to music. Especially being a musician, it's kind of hard to like say, yeah, I just play this one genre of music. It's like, no, like I will listen to Depeche Mode and then put on Dolly Parton, Or like I'm listening to like the Dubliners and then I want to hear Ice Cube, or like I'm listening to like the Halloween soundtrack and then right after that John Cougar Mellencamp Scarecrow comes on, or like La Tigre, and then I want to hear Leon Redbone, and then after that there's Mozart, or old 97s, and then maybe some Pogues, and then REM, and then Thelonious Monk. Like, I don't know, Some people like, they're heavy metal, and like that's all they fucking listen to, and then God forbid you put on, a Paul McCartney record, they're like, this guy's a fag. You're like, shut the fuck up. You have no idea. There wouldn't be heavy metal if Paul McCartney. If there was no Helter Skelter or Why Don't We Do It in the Road, you would never have Black Sabbath. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's so mind-blowing to me that people don't understand the history of even rock and roll, which doesn't even go back that far. Like, if you go back further with the blues, and like, where did the blues come from, and where did jazz come from, and all that stuff, like, it's just, people are just so close-minded sometimes, it blows my mind. So, if I was to give any, like, sort of, not advice, but if you want me to, like, give you the music that I listen to, my advice to you would be, just go find shit that you never would ever listen to. And don't give it one listen. Fuck it. If you've never heard Justin Bieber before, and believe me, I've heard Justin Bieber, like, it's playing, everywhere you go. Just listen to it a few times. Maybe one of the tracks would be like, this fucking shit is good. There are some Britney Spears tracks that I wouldn't trade for the world on my playlist. You know what I mean?
Some of those are really well-written songs.
It's a great song. I love it. Katy Perry, awesome. Lady Gaga, not so much. But, Sia or something, like these are good artists. They're good tracks, Do I like Maroon 5? No. But I know that they're good musicians, and I'm sure that people enjoy that music, and that's great for them. So, it's whatever you like. Just don't be closed-minded. Just keep your mind open to every, little nook and cranny that you can get your hands on. That's how we make the world work. That's how we all come together. If we all sort of enjoy separate things and the same things at the same time, That's what makes it beautiful. Let me introduce you to this, and I will introduce you to that. And keep an open mind. Always be confused is what the writer George Saunders says. I'm paraphrasing, but he says, always be confused. Keep an open mind. Don't let things pass you by. There's my 2 cents on music.
Well, I mean, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way, and I spin music on this show, so, I definitely try to turn people onto some new stuff, but, I mean, I find myself, because I get so much music sent into the show, I mean, the new stuff is pretty well covered for me. I tend to find, like, if I've got 10 minutes of free time, I'll go back and, I'll throw on, like, the other night I was listening to Iggy and the Stooges' Raw Power, that I just, I hadn't listened to that record in so long, or Smashing Pumpkins' Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, or I might throw on Tchaikovsky or something, but I'll throw on something familiar or something that I haven't heard in a long time, or I'll just go flat out and try to find something like, oh wait, I never did hear that album by so-and-so, I have all their other ones, but I never did check out that record, so it's like I'll go try to find that one album, and then, yeah, sort of like you were saying, some people, they listen to stuff once and then they go, oh, well, I fucking hate it. But some of those albums are like my favorite albums now. They grew on me.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story. I was having a meeting the other day at a kind of a hipster diner here in Hollywood, and they have a jukebox. Sometimes it just randomly plays stuff because no one's dropping quarters in or whatever. But we were sitting there, and music, it's not loud, but it's louder than your normal diner.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's because it's kind of a cool place to go, and like there's great music playing. But when like if you just play a random track off of an album, and like it's not one of the hits, or it's just not, maybe it's like the last track on the album is just fucking noise or something from a band. Like, so this is what happened in this diner. We're sitting there, we're having this meeting, and this song is playing, and I know what it is, but I'm not gonna like call it out or anything, because who gives a shit about my knowledge of music. And the other guy I can see his face getting a little irritated, because it was just monster guitar noise.
It's like the end of Nirvana Nevermind or whatever.
Exactly. It was just feedback, and just like fucking power chords, and it was crazy. And the guy finally, he broke down and he said, "What? I go, okay, I can't concentrate. What the fuck is this shit? What are they playing in this diner?" And I said, "It's the Stooges. It's Funhouse." And he was like, "No shit." He goes, "I have this record." And I'm like, "You probably just don't ever listen to this track, because it's a bunch of fucking noise." And you're probably never in the mood for that. Maybe you skip it, or like you never get to it. He called me a week later. He said, "You know what? I've been listening to that fucking album over and over again. And every time I get to that track, I think of our meeting, I think of how great it was, and I think of how close-minded I've been to listening to full records all the way through." I was like, yeah. Sometimes you just gotta put something on and give it the full-blown chance all the way through from beginning to end. And he discovered this record. Now he says like, it's now, I've rediscovered the Stooges. It's fucking awesome. So yeah, you never know. You never know where you're gonna find inspiration.
In a word, abso-fucking-lutely.
Brian, what do you got coming up for conventions?
March 17th, we're going to be in Cincinnati at Horror Hound. So we'll all be there. Usually it's just me and Andre, and maybe Ashley Banks. This round, I think, Duncan Regier is going to be there, Dracula. Tom Noonan is going to be there. I think the guy that played the Wolfman is going to be there. Not John Grease, but the guy who was actually in the costume. He's going to be there. I think that's it. Maybe a few of the effects guys or something. But yeah, that'll be fun. Then we go to Orlando at the end of April for Spooky Empire. I think that's just me and Andre, so we'll be there for 3 days in Orlando. And there's a few other things we haven't really signed contracts for, so I don't know if I'm allowed to like say it or anything. But yeah, we're going to be touring most of this year, because it is an anniversary year for the Monster Squad. So we want to get out there and greet everybody and say hi for the 30th anniversary. Oh my God, I'm having a heart attack.
Congrats on that, man.
Thank you, I made it.
Who would have thunk it?
I made it so far. I'm still here, man. Still kicking. Yeah, we enjoy that because it's something that sort of hit us randomly, like at a weird time in our lives. Like Andre and I weren't even speaking. Like we hadn't been in contact for a really long time. And Eric Vespi in Austin, Texas, put together this screening at the Alamo Draft House, and we all came together and we were like, "What the hell is this? Like they're gonna show the movie? That's stupid." Texas, great, let's go. We show up. I got to say hi to people I haven't seen in years, and we walked in, 2 sold-out shows. We were like, what the fuck? And we wound up talking to people afterwards, like, no, you don't understand, this is my favorite movie. I'm like, when? Like, this movie came out, like, it was gone in my life. Like, came out, it bombed, and that was it. I moved on. Had absolutely no clue that people were actually still watching this thing throughout the years on VHS, and did not know it had a whole different underground life. And it's still kind of new to us, you know? So, I mean, that was in 2007 or something like that. So it's only been, 10 years or so that we've been doing these conventions, and still we go out there and people are, they're just the nicest people, and I never experienced anything like it, and I do it for them, or else I would just stay home and write, just, in my underwear eating Cheetos, who cares? But I get out there for them.